Hi, grade 5. Today is day 3 of our e-learning for math. Hopefully you got a chance to do everything from yesterday's. Let me just review it. So yesterday's math lesson entailed just reviewing and recapping our foundation of measurement from grade 4. So we looked at just being able to convert the basics. So it's how many centimeters into millimeters, how many meters and centimeters and such. Hopefully you were able to, 1, review your math notes. 2, you were able to look at the textbook questions, the 4 textbook questions. Then you were able to do some worksheet questions on how to measure using a ruler, and then the quick check-in on Edmodo. Make sure you have done that before you move forward. If at any point, so go back and look at the video, if you did not finish the to-do list from yesterday, pause this video right now, double check that you've done it, because you cannot build on something that hasn't, so you're building on a weak foundation. So make sure you've done everything from Monday before we move on to Tuesday, okay? So pause now in case you didn't do something. Moving forward, today is day 3 of our math. So today is Tuesday, March 24th. These are the things you're going to need today. So make sure you go grab them. Materials needed for today is your math notebook, a pencil, a highlighter, and ruler. So pause here, go grab those things if you don't have them already, and then let's get started. Okay, and as always, we're starting fresh page. Make sure you get the date down first. It's Tuesday, March 24th, 2020. And let's get our title. Let's get a different color. Let's see, and now today we're going to be talking and building on what we talked about yesterday and converting units. And as always, our I can statement. So I can follow the steps. Oops. The steps to convert between units. Please make sure you highlight it. I will bubble it as always. So date, title, I can statement that is highlighted. And my lovelies know that I always repeat those 3 things. Make sure you've got that before we move forward. So today's lesson we're going to be talking about converting units. And yesterday, when we were saying how many centimeters are in millimeters, how many millimeters are in centimeters, that's essentially what you were doing. You were converting units. Today, we're building on that. We're not just stopping at centimeters to millimeters. We're looking at a whole expansive different types of units, not just those 3. So mainly in grade 4, you look at the big 4, so centimeters, millimeters, meters, and kilometers. Those are the 4 that you look at. In grade 5, we're looking at a whole span of them, a little bit more than just those 4. So we're going to build on that. So I'll just do a quick recap or review. So yesterday, I had said, like for example, if I said 1 meter is equal to blank centimeters, and this is a perfect example of what was on the check-in at Edmodo that hopefully you did, is we know how much, let's get a different color, hopefully you filled it in already, is how many? 100 centimeters. And now today, let's say if I say I've got 3 meters, we know that therefore there's going to be how many centimeters? 300, correct? And let's do one more. Let's say I've got 10 centimeters. How many millimeters is that? You would hopefully say, and already have written down, 100. Okay, quick review from yesterday, right? Our quick mental math. Now, today what we're going to be doing, and I'll leave purple on, we can use, that says use, but I'll make it a little clearer. We can use and we call it a conversion ladder to convert between units. And that's what we're going to be learning today. Now these ones, so the 3 examples that I just did, they're, like I said, there are mental facts. We know that 1 meter has 100 centimeters. We know that because of that fact, that therefore if there's 3 centimeters now, there's going to be 300 centimeters. Those are kind of drilled into us. Now, sometimes the units I'm looking at, whether it's meters, centimeters, millimeters, or whatnot, are a huge number. I might not know how many, if I've got 50,000 millimeters, I don't know how many units that might be in meters. So that's when we use what we call a conversion ladder, and we can highlight that. And actually, I'll do that in a different color, so you can highlight that. Let's use this. We call it a conversion ladder, or you may have heard it, if you've heard it, maybe Miss Rachel or Mr. Matt may call it a conversion table. I usually call it conversion ladder. Let's see what it looks like, and it literally is, and the reason I say ladder is because it looks like a ladder, and you are moving up and down, so it is the purpose of a ladder. Let me just go back to that. I will pause here if you can just make sure that you've gotten all the 3, title, date, I can statement, before we move on. Okay, so next section, and mine's a different page, as you just move forward, is literally first is just drawing a ladder. And that's what I've got. I've gotten a ladder drawn. Let me grab a different color. Let's get blue. Okay, you will need, so like I said, just the ladder, and you'll need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces. Now in these spaces you're going to be using, it's going to be an acronym, and this is going to help you, and I'll write it above here, K, and I'm going to go back and forth. So King, so write this down with me, King Henry, oops, I want that in black, King Henry died, oh dear, I keep doing them all, and I want black. Let's see if I can do better. Unexpectedly, excuse me, unexpectedly drinking chocolate and the last one is milk. I wanted to fit, but it doesn't fit, but that's okay. That's the one line you need to have memorized. Definitely highlight that or circle that, or I'm going to bubble it. So this acronym is going to help you memorize the ladder. Now the letters, and the reason I put them in blue is for a reason. K, H, D, E, D, C, M. Those are the letters that are going to be going in our ladder. The reason we make this funny acronym or this funny sentence statement, King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk, is just a fun way to memorize the order. If you want to make your own sentence up, that's totally okay, as long as you know the order. And that's the order we use. So, and I'm going to put them in. I like the blue, so I'll use the blue. I'm going to put them in as K, right? I'm just following the order, right? K, then H, then D, then U, then D, then C, and last but not least, M, okay? Each of these letters go in that order, starting from the top, okay? So think of it that way. King Henry died unexpectedly drinking cold milk, okay? Now, each of these letters represents a unit. So we've already looked at, and I'll fill up those ones first. We know C is for, guess which unit? Which one have we looked at before that has a C? Centimeter. Hopefully you got that. Another one that we've done starts with an M, is millimeter. And there's a third one, oh, sorry, there's another one that we've done, and I will talk about that one. That's a special one after. But K also, we know we've done kilometer, okay? Those ones we know. Those are 3 units, and meter, I'll tell you where meter is. It's in there, just not visible right now. The rest, the H, D, U, and D are also units. So the H here is and I'll say HE, it's hectometer. We don't use it very often, but it is a unit of measurement. Hectometer. Then we've got decameter. And then these are short forms. U I'll come back to, and D is decimeter. Sort of like centimeter, decimeter. So do not get confused between deca and deci. Decimeter is much smaller than a meter. Decameter is larger than a meter. Okay? In this U, and I'll make a little squiggly here, U stands for units. And the reason we use this umbrella of U is because there's there's actually 3 different units in the U. So the U represents either meters, grams, and then liters. And we will be getting to these 2 after, like later in the unit. So the main one you need to focus on is meters for now. So just know that U, and I'll put it maybe in brackets, it's M for meters for now, okay? Also know that grams and liters is in there, but for now when we're just talking about converting units, U represents meters. So those we know, okay? So that's what we've got so far. We got kilometer, hectometer, decameter, meter, decimeter, centimeter, millimeter. And how we use this letter, there's a proper way, and then you have to memorize this. So far you have to memorize the order of the units, and that's why we created that fun sentence, King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk. Make your own up if you want to. Another thing you have to memorize is when we're going up and down the ladder. So the purpose of a ladder is to go up and down, and that's what it is. How we convert is using the movement of going up or down. If we're going down the ladder, okay, if I'm going down the ladder, from whichever unit to whichever unit, but if I'm going down, I have to move decimal to the right, okay? Maybe you want to highlight that, please. So to the right. If I'm moving down, I'm going to the right. Instead, and I could be going up the ladder. If I'm going up the ladder, okay, then I have to move decimal, and you probably guessed it, to the left, okay? Also, please highlight that, to the left, okay? An easy way to maybe, you can memorize that. So if I'm going down, right, up, left, or sometimes my kids in the past have memorized it sort of like this. If I'm going down, so draw the arrows, I go to the right, which makes a perfect L because it's the right way to write an L, right? If I'm going down, I make an L, which is the right way to make an L, right? And then the other way is when I'm going up, I go left, because that's the wrong way to make an L, right? Find your fun, silly ways to memorize it. Some of them like to use this. Some students just want to memorize down, right, up, left. Down, right, up, left. However, you like to focus on that. That's up to you, okay? So that's what we've got. This is our conversion ladder or conversion table. Now let's actually use it. So let's do some examples here, and then we can do some more on the next page. Okay, how do we use this? Let's actually try using it. So let's get an example going. Let's say, and actually let's go, okay, let's pause this for a minute. Let's go to the next page and let's do our steps. And then we can do examples. So let's say, steps to convert units. Okay, there are 5 steps. Let's look at them one by one, and we can do an example as we go through it together. Okay, Step 1, and I'll say right here, an example that we'll use as we go along is 324 millimeters is equal to blank centimeter. Okay, and we're going to use the conversion ladder to solve this. Okay, so step 1. And let me get, just for the steps. So step 1. Step 1, you need to decide how many Scoobies, see there's that Scoobies again, how many Scoobies you moved on, sorry, how many Scoobies you moved, and which direction. So 2 things you need to determine on the ladder. Okay, and take out your highlighter. Let's highlight. So you need to decide 2 different things, okay? How many Scoobies have I moved? Okay, and then which direction? Okay, and I'm going to erase S because you can only go one way. Ooh. Okay, let me write that again. And that was on, right? Direction on. Okay, 2 things you're deciding on step 1. Decide how many Scoobies you moved and which direction on the ladder. Okay, so which direction and how many Scoobies. Okay, so let's go back. So right now, let me just look at it. So I've got 324 millimeters, and I'm trying to go to centimeters. So I'm going to go back to my ladder. Okay, so where am I right now? And I'll get a different color going. Let's say I'm starting, my starting point, I'll do that as green because that's where we start. Or maybe you won't be able to see, I'll do yellow. Okay, so I'm starting at, which unit is it? And I'll write it here, so we've got it going. 324 millimeters, which equals blank centimeter. Okay, so my starting point, is this. 324 millimeters. So I know I'm starting, actually let's just do it by, I'm starting right here, and I'll put a little star, okay? I'm starting right here. And where am I going? So I know I have to somehow, so I'm starting at millimeters, I have to end at centimeters, right? Think of it like a race. I'm starting at 324 millimeters. I want to finish the race at some blank centimeters. Okay, so I've started at millimeters, which is right here. Okay, I'm at 324 millimeters. That's my starting point. I'm going to put a star here. And I want to end at centimeters. So look at the ladder. Where are centimeters right now? Point to it. Okay, you probably pointed here. Centimeters right here. I'm starting from here, going over here. So I have gone, am I going up or am I going down? If I'm starting from here, I'm going up 1 Scoopie. Correct? I've gone up 1 Scoopie. I've gone from millimeters to centimeters. I just want to make sure. Yeah, perfect. Yes, excellent. So let me go back. Let's go here. Let me go back here. So let me write it down. I've decided that I need to go 1 Scoopie. So that's what I figured out, right? 1 Scoopie. So what does that mean? Okay, I've got 1 Scoopie. Oh, actually, I'll say 1 Scoopie. I've got 1 Scoopie. Yeah, I've gone 1 Scoopie up. What does that mean? Do you know what that means? Let's go back. 1 Scoopie up. I've gone from here, and I've gone 1 Scoopie up, right? I've gone up the ladder. So what does that tell me? Am I looking at this? So am I looking at this one, or am I looking at this one, right? Because I know I went up my ladder, right? I know I have to move the decimal to the left, right? I went up the ladder. I went from millimeters to centimeters. I am traveling up the ladder. That means I'm going up. And I remember the rule that if I go up, I have to move my decimal to the left, okay? And that's what we're going to write down. Let's write that down here. I went 1 Scoopie up, which means I need to move decimal to the left, okay? So I will highlight. So I went 1 Scoopie up, which means I have to move the decimal to the left. Okay, that's step 1, right? There's 2 things happening. We're trying to figure out how many Scoopies. That's 1 Scoopie. Okay, and then which direction? I went up. That tells me I need to move my decimal to the left. Okay, now let's go to step 2. Dark one, I think. Step 2. And don't panic if it's getting overwhelming. We just have to, like a lot of things in life, not just math, we just have to do practice over practice. So don't worry, because sometimes in the past students think, holy moly, there's so many units going on, there's so much up and left. Don't worry, we've just got started. So right now we focus on just writing the notes down, following along, listening to my voice, and we'll do practice, 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 and it won't be as overwhelming when we're done this. Okay, so next step, we need to, and this is from our last unit, so hopefully everyone knows the next step, which is step 2. So you need to place, oops, I want it black. You need to place your pencil on the decimal. And I'll say bracket, the starting point. Oops, T looks wonky. Starting point of your number. And if you remember decimals, and we just finished the unit 2 days ago, so I'll put this as a little star. It could be invisible. And I'll let you know what that means if you forgot in a second. It could be invisible. Right? It may be invisible, and we'll look at that, what that means. But just remember, it is always, or it's always on the right side of the ones. Hands up if you remembered that. Although I can't see the hands, but I'm hoping that you're putting your hand up. So, a few things we need to highlight there, and then we can go over it. So, step 2 says place your pencil on the decimal, or what we call, so I'll say put your on the decimal, or we call it the starting point. Now, some questions don't have a decimal. In our case today, our example 1 doesn't have it doesn't have a decimal place, but that's why I put a little star. It could be invisible. Okay, right now that decimal is there, but like we talked about this past unit, it's invisible. Just remember it's always on the right side of the ones. So, right, look at our number right now, 324. Which number, which digit I should say, is in the ones right now? Hopefully you're saying 4, right? 4 is in the ones, 2 is in the tens, 3 is in the hundreds. So right now, because the decimal is invisible, we know it's always on the right side of the ones. So it's right, and I'll do it over here, 324. So even though it's not written in, we know from our previous knowledge that there's an invisible decimal right here. right? And the rest just happens to be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. It's gone, right? We learned that last unit. If there's no decimal written, it's invisible because there's nothing else. There's 324 wholes. There's no fraction. There's no part of anything. It's a whole. But we do know that there is an invisible decimal. So I'll say that on that step 2. Place your pencil. So I'm going to place my pencil or it's my little, oops. I'm going to put my little pen on the decimal. So put your little pencil right there. Okay, that's where your pencil is going to be. It's on the decimal. Okay, and I'll draw a little pencil. Oops. Holy moly. Does not look. It's hard to draw a little pencil. But you get it. You know what I'm trying to draw. I'm trying to draw a little. Okay, anyways. I'll just erase that. It looks very, very wonky. But it's a pencil, okay? I'm going to put my pencil right there. Maybe I'll just write it. Place pencil. Okay, done step 2. Pause here if you need to copy anything down because I'm going to the next page. So step 1, I decided how many Scoobies I need to move and which direction. And I decided that I moved 1 Scoopie up, which means I'm going to the left. And then step 2, I'm about to start doing some movement. So I have to first place my pencil where the decimal is. Since there was no decimal, right, it was an invisible decimal, I know it's right next to the ones. Okay, let's keep going. Let's go to this is second last step. Step 3. We're almost done. Okay. So I've got step 3, which is now move the decimal based on step 1. So whatever we decided in step 1, that's what we're doing. So we're going to move based on step 1. Okay, so let's go back and see what we decided on step 1. Step 1, okay, we had said we need to go 1 Scoopie up. We had decided we need to move the decimal to the left. So let's go back. And I'll do it over here. So I'll write everything we've got. So we had 324. We put let's do pink. We put the invisible decimal, and now we need to start moving. So I had decided I need to move the decimal, or the Scoopies, to the left. So I need to move this decimal over 1 Scoopie to the left. And I'll put a little arrow, okay? And that's where I stop, okay? So go back to step, and I'll pause there for a moment. Go back to step 1. See what we had said. We said I'm going to move the decimal to the left, right? And I move 1, not 2 Scoopies, not 3, not 4, 1 Scoopie to the left. And that's what we did. We looked at our number. We got the invisible decimal, which is right next to the ones. I know I need to go left, but how many Scoopies? Do I go 5, 6 times? No, just 1, because that's what we decided. So you go 1 Scoopie to the left, and you stop there, okay? You just pause there for a moment, okay? And then you go to the last step. Step 4 is you erase. Oops. Oh no, yes. Erase and I'll put an asterisk, old decimal and add your units. So and I'll write it down again. So we had 324. We had centimeters? No, we had millimeters. 324 millimeters. And the original question was, how many centimeters? So what we did together, hopefully you're doing it with me, for 3 steps where we put the decimal, invisible decimal, we moved it 1 scoopy over. So now this is your new decimal. And you're going to erase the old one. So you put your new decimal right here, and you erase the other one. So now your answer becomes 32.4. Do we see how we got that? And I'll put the decimal here. 324 decimal was here. We were trying to move it to the left, which makes my answer 32.4. So 324 millimeters is equal to 32.4 centimeters. Okay, so it seems like long steps, but the reason why there's a lot going on, or seems like it's a lot, is because we're trying to figure out the direction and the Scoobies, right? That's the most important part. Part of the ladder is trying to figure out, am I going up? Am I going down? If I'm going up, then I know I have to move to the left. If I'm going down, I know I need to move to the right. So that first step is so important. If you get that first step wrong, unfortunately, everything else is wrong. So for example, maybe you thought, oh, when I go up, I have to move to the right. That would ruin your entire answer. Okay, that's why you need to make sure that this ladder and these 2 rules are memorized. You know them really well. And I guess this acronym, okay? This page is very important. All the things you need to know are here. Okay, let me erase this because I will do some more examples here. Okay? So please make sure you know the order, which if I'm going up, I'm going left. If I'm going down the ladder, I'm going to the right. Okay, let's do some more practice because we're only going to get better if we keep doing more practice. And let's just do it on this page so our ladder is easily available to us. Okay, let's do some more examples. Let's get black. Okay. Okay, let's do example 2. Now let's say I've got, let's do 3. Or let me just erase this. I don't want too much going on. I've got 3 3.20 meters is equal to blank centimeters. Okay, now go through the steps. Okay, go through all the steps we have. Step 1, I need to decide, so where am I going? So let's just figure that out first, right? I'm at meters. So right now I'm at the meters, right? That's where I'm starting off, meters. On the ladder, point to where I'm starting. So right now with your fingers, point to where I am starting. Hopefully you said here, this is where I'm starting. This is my starting point. And now we need to decide, am I going up or down? I want to end at centimeters. Okay, we know centimeters is down here. So I have to go, and remember, it's a ladder. You can't skip any steps. You have to go 1, 2 scoopies to end up at centimeters. Okay, perfect. That's why I call it a ladder, is because you cannot jump in steps. Even though you may have, you do not do that. It's unsafe. So you have to go every step. It's not, and I'll show you now. It's not, oh, I want to go from meters. I want to go from meters to centimeters. That's 1 scoopy. That is wrong. You cannot forget about what's in between, right? Decimeter was in between, so you cannot do that. Instead, you have to say, oh, I'm starting from here. I want to go to centimeters, so I go down 1 scoopy. I go down 2 scoopies. Okay, that's where I end up. 2 scoopies, and I went down. So let's go back to this. Am I going up or am I going down? I went down, so that means I'm moving my decimal to the right. Okay, so I'll put that down here. So I said I moved 2 scoopies. I went 2 scoopies down. which equals 2 Scoobies. Am I going down? That means I'm going right. 2 Scoobies to the right. Okay, and that's very important. Now, let's do it. Okay, so I had 3.20 meters. I'm going to now, and I'll change the color. Okay, I'm going to apply this rule. You said 2 Scoobies to the right. So I start at the decimal. This time it's not an invisible decimal, right? It's not an invisible decimal. I actually have 3 holes and 2 parts of a hole, right? So I don't have to, there's no invisible. I know right now. So I'm going to put my pencil on the decimal, and my instructions were to go 2 Scoobies to the right. So I go 1 between the 2 and the 0, and then 2, and I stop there, and that's my new decimal. So therefore, my answer is 320 decimal. And we know if there's nothing else there, it's decimal 0, which is fine. You can also just say 320, right? They're the same thing. We know that's equivalent. But I'll leave the decimal there because just because it's new for us to know that they're the same things. Okay, oops. 320 decimal 0. That's what it is. Okay, let's try another one. Make sure you've got this because I'm going to erase this part because I want to stay on the page of the ladder. Okay, I'm going to erase it. Make sure you pause it, get it all done. Let's erase this. Let's do some more examples. Let's do next one. Get a black. Let's say I've got 1.75 kilometers equals blank centimeter. Okay, now let's use our ladder. I'm starting where? Where's my starting point? Kilometer. Okay, now let me go to my ladder. Where do I see kilometers? Where do I see km? Right here. Put a little star there. This is my starting point. Or put a little S for starting point, whatever helps you. Okay, I'm not going to be marking your Scoobies or your stars. I'm marking the work. But if you want to put a little S there to say it's my starting point or my ending point, it's up to you. Okay, so I put a little star. This is my starting point because I know I'm at 1.75 kilometer. Where do I want to go? I want to end up where? Centimeter. Okay, where do I see centimeter on the ladder? Point to it right now. Okay, I see it right here. Remember, I'm not going to be taking one huge scoopy because that would, 1, be so dangerous on a ladder. 2, you do not do that. So you have to go every step. So let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I have to stop here. This is my ending point. Okay, I went down, so I said, and I'll write this down, I went 5 Scoobies. Oops. 5 Scoobies down. Now let's decode. What does that mean? If I'm going down the ladder, I have to move it to the right. So that means 5 Scoobies to the right. Okay, let's try that. I get my pink. I've got my number. So my original decimal also is over here. I need to go 5 Scoobies to the right. Okay, and just because it's a little messy here, I'm going to write the number, and you'll know why in a moment. I'm going to write it over here so it's a little bit free. 175. Okay, I have to go 5 Scoobies to the right. So what does that mean? I'm going to start at this where the decimal is, right? It's not invisible this time, and I'm going 5 Scoobies or place values, right? So I'm going to go 1, 2, and you're saying, uh-oh, there's no more numbers. But we know from our previous unit, when there's no numbers, Just like when there's no decimal, there is a number there. What is there? It's an invisible 0. Just draw the Scoobies. So this is 3, 4, 5. And this is where I end, right? Let me just repeat that. I went 1 Scoopy between 7 and 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. And I stop there. Now, just like we had said, if there's no decimal, we know the invisible decimal. If there's no value there, there's no numbers there, we know actually though there is. It just happens to be invisible. What are those invisible numbers? Is it 10? Is it 1? Is it 9? No, hopefully you're saying in your head, they're zeros. They're invisible zeros right now. So you fill in the Scoobies with the zeros. So my answer ends up being 5, 0, 0, 0. So 1.75 kilometers is equal to 175,000 centimeters. Okay, do you see how we got that? We went from our initial decimal, we went 5 Scoobies to the right, because we went 5 Scoobies down the ladder to end up with this value. Okay, the only new part of this question, the reason I did this is because sometimes you will have these empty Scoobies. You just have to add zeros anytime you have empty Scoobies. Okay, and let's do one more. So pause it here to make sure you've got everything copied down. And then let's do one more. Then we can do some practice questions. Let's raise. Oops. This. And try doing this without me. Try doing this. Write it down. Maybe try, write the question down. So let me write it down, and then let's pause it. And you can try doing it on your own. Let's do. Okay, let's do 207. Actually, let's do 2,754 millimeters is equal to blank meters. Okay, I want you to pause the video right here and try doing that on your own. Follow the same steps we've been doing. Okay, follow the steps. Look at your notebook, try it on your own. And then we'll do it together. And you can double check with me. So let's double check together. Hopefully you had a chance to try it on your own. Let me follow all the steps we've always been doing. Where's my starting point? Okay, I know I'm starting. I'll get a different color. I'm starting at millimeter. Okay, so I'm going to put my star. This is where I'm starting. I want to eventually end up at meter. So I'm going to have to go do some Scoobies. I have to go 1 Scoopy, 2 Scoopy, 3 Scoopy, and do I keep going? No, because I've landed. This is where I want to end up. I want to end up at meters, and I did, right? So millimeters, we went up 1, 2, 3 Scoobies. 3 Scoobies up. Oops. 3 Scoobies up equals 3 Scoobies. Let's see, am I going left or right? So if I went up this time, I know my decimal is moving to the left. So 3 Scoobies left. Okay, let's try that. So right now, where's my decimal? And you probably noticed, whoops, there's no actual decimal written in. So ding, 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 in my head, a little bulb should be going off, a light bulb should be going off saying, okay, there's no decimal written, but there is an invisible decimal. And the invisible decimal happens to be right here. We know that, right? Right next to the ones. Okay, now let me follow the rules. 3 Scoobies to the left. So I'm going to do 3 Scoobies. 1, 2, 3. And this is my new decimal, and I erased the first one, right? So my answer ends up being 2 decimal, so my new decimal, which I ended up here, 754. And make sure you don't write the decimal again here, because that's no number. That's not a number. 2 decimal, 754 decibel. Remember the original decimal? Make sure you erase it. We don't want it anymore, right? Because we've got our new decimal. 2 decimal 754. So 2,754 millimeters is equal to 2.754 meters. Okay? So as long as you got so a few things you need for this to be able to do this, right? As long as you've got your ladder and you've got your acronyms in order, right? So make sure that your meter is in the meters section and not down here when it's centimeters. Okay, and that order, either memorize hours, so King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk, make a fun, funky one on your own as long as your letters are the same and they're in order. It doesn't matter to us, as long as you got something being memorized. Then, so you've got your acronym memorized, you've got your ladder, and then these two rules, very important. And trust me, after a while, you'll just get used to it. You know, oh, I'm going up, I know I have to move to the left. I'm going right because I know I've gone down the ladder. Okay, again, you can use this to memorize. If I'm going down, I make a L. It's right, it's a correct L, or I make an upside down because I went left, I went the wrong way, or something like that, something to help you memorize it. And then you're just drawing Scoobies. You're just figuring out, am I going up, down? If I'm going up, I know I have to move the decimal to the left. If I'm going down, I'd have to move to the right. Okay, so pause this right now, copy everything down, the last example, and then we can move on to some practice questions that you'll do on your own. And tomorrow we'll also be just working on this, because this, although it seems overwhelming right now, and if you do feel overwhelmed, so with your, maybe in your mind, or do it with your thumbs right now, because my class knows at the end of every lesson I ask with their thumbs up. So everyone do it now, with your thumbs up of how you feel. So thumbs up to this, just fully up, yes, I totally get it, to the side, which means, oh, I kind of get it, or down, which I don't get at all, which hopefully we're not there. But if you are, that's also okay. That just means you need to do practice, practice, practice. Practice makes progress, right? So let's go to the, where are we? Last page, right? Perfect. So things you need to be working on today. So today, just because today was an overwhelming lesson, I'm not going to give you lots of textbook or worksheet questions. All I want you to do is step 1. I want you to review today's math lesson. And I really mean, I don't mean just look at your paper, flip it, and move on. No, I mean read everything we just went. Read the title, read the I can statement, read all the 4 steps, and see what we did. It really, really is hard sometimes because now you're listening to me and you're trying to do the question and you're trying to write down the notes. It's a lot, right? So we understand that. So take a few moments, just go back, review your notes, read your notes to understand what we did today. Then, after you've done that and you understand what you did for the most part, then I want you to go in Edmodo and do today's quiz. Again, I'm not marking this for marks, okay? Today's quiz is not for marks. It's just for me to see, okay, do you understand how to use the conversion ladder? Okay, that's all it is. I think there's 5 questions today. I'm not sure. I forget, but it's the quiz is on there. Do your best. That is my way of seeing how much you understand. Okay, remember I had said that, that those quizzes have served 2 purposes. 1 is for me to see how much you understand. 2, it's also a way for me to see that you're definitely trying them. Now, and I don't know if I mentioned in the last video, those quizzes will always be due at the end of the week. So, for example, yesterday's quiz, hopefully you did it within the 5-10 minutes and it's done. But if you didn't do it yesterday, maybe you were busy, or maybe today's quiz, you have to rush out, you have a game, or you're going to someone's house, you don't have time to do it, that's okay. We're very understanding teachers. You have until the end of this week. That means before Saturday, before Saturday, 11:59, make sure you get it done. So this week's quizzes, you always have that 1 whole week to do it. Okay, so week 1's quizzes are due Saturday, 11:59. Week 2 quizzes when we start will be due again that Saturday, 11:59. Just because we understand some students, might be doing math. Maybe you've left all your math for Thursday and Friday and Saturday or something like that, right? Because there is that element of flexible learning and your choice. So as long as it gets done within this whole week at some point, we're okay with that. Okay? Good luck. And then message us if you have any concerns, any questions on Edmodo, but I think you'll be just fine, okay? And then have a lovely day. I will see you tomorrow for math class. Take care, and I'll see you. Bye.